Okay, today we're going to take a look at section 1.5, which is angle relationships. And there are several key terms that you need to know. So we're going to start there. The first one is what we call adjacent angles. And those are two angles that are on the same plane and share a vertex, but do not have any common interior points. So in this case, an adjacent angle would be DEC and CEB. Those would be adjacent angles. They share the same vertex, E, but they don't have any of the same interior points. These over here are not adjacent angles. They don't share the same vertex. So FDE is not an adjacent angle to BCA. They have to share the same vertex. So the next one is what we call a linear pair. These are adjacent angles that are on the same line or ray. So here, angle ADB and angle BDC are linear pairs. So you can see angle AC is a straight line. And we can break this up into two angles that are adjacent. In this case, none of these are linear pairs because there is no straight line that connects two or more angles. See, these are all just different line segments. Vertical angles are two non-adjacent, formed by two intersecting lines. So again, it has to be straight lines. And in this case, 1 and 2 are vertical angles. 3 and 4 are vertical angles. My non-example here, you can see this line here is a straight line, but that one's not. So vertical angle rule doesn't apply here because they're not two intersecting lines. These are really three different lines. Here's what you need to know about each of these. Vertical angles. If you decide that an angle is vertical, then those are equal. And you'll see that they will draw a little arc showing that this angle and this angle are the same. If they draw two arcs, it's just showing you that those are the same, but they're not the same as that. Okay? Complementary means they add up to 90 degrees. So you already know that when you see that, it's 90 degrees. But then you know that this angle and that angle, if you add them together, they equal 90. Supplementary are two angles that add up to 180. Right? So that angle and that angle added together equal 180. And the last one you need to know are perpendicular lines. They form four right angles. This is different from vertical angles. Vertical angles could be any measure. Perpendicular means that each one of these angles has a measure of 90 degrees. So, let's take a look at some of the questions. Okay? two acute vertical angles. So the first thing you need to do is identify vertical angles. So you've got a line that crosses here and a line that crosses here. Okay, so we know V or W, V, Y, and Y, oops, no, and Z, V, U are vertical angles. But are they acute? No, they're obtuse. So then we know, okay, well then V, W, V, U, and Y, V, Z are vertical angles. Are they acute? Yes, they are. They're less than 90. So two obtuse adjacent means they have to be on the same line. So you've got angle UVX and U, or X, that won't work, and WVY. Okay. Looking at this one here, this should tell you you've got two totally straight lines. What kind of angles are going to be formed here? Vertical. Okay. If the measure of angle 2 is 15, what's the measure of angle 1? Well, I just told you they were vertical. And what do we say about vertical angles? They're equal. So if that's 15, then its vertical angle has to also be 15. So you've got some more examples of that over here. Find two adjacent angles, two acute vertical. Okay, you just have to work your way through and find what it is they're looking for. Remember, the little square here means it's 90 degrees. These single pink lines means that those two lines are congruent or equal. Now, let's look down here. This is where it's going to ask you to do some math. And it wants the value of each variable. Well, every single one of these, except for 24, we're not going to look at that one yet, these are vertical angles. So, if we look at number 19, we know these are vertical angles, so what do we know about them? We know that this equals that. So if I want to solve for x, I have 120 equals 2x minus 10. And then it's just an algebra problem, right? 20. These are vertical angles, but they didn't ask us what this one down here was, did they? Well, what do we know about a line? Well, we know that both of these angles, they're on a line, so they have to equal 180. So now we have just a slightly different problem. We have 180 equals this one, 2x, plus this one, 4x plus 108. And then we solve. Okay, so throughout all of these, it's just a matter of figuring out, all right, are they asking me to solve for the vertical? Are they asking me to solve for the supplementary? And in some cases, it could be they're asking you to solve for the complementary if it tells you there's a 90-degree angle there. Okay, so in your notes, you need to make sure that you understand all these different types of angles and their measurements. Because the questions part of this is going to rely on you being able to identify vertical angles, identify supplementary angles, and then solve. So make sure that you have all of this in your notes.